Let's get started.
All right, everybody, and welcome to the Bonus Stage Podcast, episode number 15. We have a great show for you guys this week.
Awesome show.
We are going to be talking the Wii freaking U. This little thing right here is only part of it, but it's the part that I can show you on camera because I can't bring my TV over and hold it up in front of my screen because I might break something, so I'm not going to do that. But we're going to be talking the Wii U. We're going to be talking about some stuff that we missed over the last week. We're not going to be doing any news this week because I think we're going to have too much Wii U stuff to talk. It's all the Wii U you can handle this week on the bonus stage.
And then, also another really huge game that came out 2 weeks ago as well, too. So, I mean, it's going to be a packed show.
Exactly.
And, I actually skimmed through the news just to see. It's really all Wii U news and Call of Duty news anyway, so we're kind of covering it anyway.
We're kind of covering it all.
There's very few things that stuck out to me as something that was, noteworthy, and even then it was eh.
Exactly. So as you're hearing his voice right now, that is, of course, the Jeff Ward joining me as my co-host for this awesome episode of the bonus stage. Of course, I'm Lloyd Hannison. If you've never heard the show before, I host a whole bunch of shows over at vgpodcast.com. So check it out. And we actually have a new look over at vgpodcast.com. I launched a new look today. Make the site run a lot quicker, look a lot better, and be a little bit more responsive for all the different types and sizes of screens that are attacking my site on a daily basis. So I do urge you all to go head on over to vgpodcast.com, check out the website, and let me know what you think. It looks good. There's still a lot of stuff to make it look better. A lot of the posts are missing images because of the change from one theme to another. Quacko in the forum is cursing me because I made him spend too much money on Skylanders, so that makes me smile. It makes me laugh. I'm in a good mood right now. But yeah, so check it out over at vgpodcast.com.
Yeah, Lloyd, you do that stuff all by yourself. I hope you never ask for my help unless you want to completely destroy the site from the inside out. Because, I mean, I've been working on my own website for a long time, and my God, is it frustrating. I mean, I know you're way more skilled than I am, but I don't know how you have the patience to do that kind of stuff, especially when you're changing a theme and a lot of stuff doesn't carry over.
Yeah.
What a nightmare.
Yeah, it's fun. I've been building websites since the HTML spec 1.0. So that was before there was images in HTML. So you only had plain text. So I've been doing it for a long time, and I did it as a job for a long time. And now I do it just for fun. So I like to make things look good. So hopefully it looks good, but do let me know over at vgpodcast.com. All right, let's do this. Let's get into the show. Let's start off the way we always start off. Jeff, what you been playing?
Well, it's been 2 weeks since our last show, and
that's
tons
right.
to play.
That's one thing I forgot to mention. We didn't do a show last week. I was in Florida, and I had so much fun at freaking Disney, and I want to live in Florida now. But anyway.
How was the basketball game? Was it a good game?
Yeah, actually, I went to go see the Orlando Magic versus the New York Knicks, and the Magic are having an interesting time. They don't have a really good team. It doesn't help that all their best players were kind of injured. They're having issues filling that building, and it's a huge building. It is immense. And it was
like, what is it, like 28,000 or almost like 30,000?
Yeah, it's huge.
It's huge for a basketball arena.
We got $65 seats for $20 on StubHub. So that's how bad the market is for that team right now. And we're up kind of like in the second floor, the 200 level, and you go up this escalator, and I don't have a fear of heights, and I don't really get vertigo looking like from high things, but I looked down off the side of this escalator, and I actually had to hold on to the escalator. Like, it freaked me out because it's at like a 100-degree angle. You're basically just going up at this insane angle to get to the top of it. But anyway, where we were sitting, and in most of the arena, it was probably 50-50 Knicks fans versus the Magic fans. So
that's a long way to travel if you're a Knicks fan. But I guess you're probably just living in Orlando. You're not traveling from New York to Orlando.
It would be like an original six hockey team. So when the Habs or the Boston Bruins play in Winnipeg, you have as many people wearing like their old Boston Bruins jersey as there is wearing a Jets jersey. And the Knicks are kind of that team. They've been around. They have a storied franchise. So you had people that were screaming loud when the Magic scored. Then you had people that were screaming equally as loud when the Knicks scored. And there was a couple people in our section that were huge Knicks fans, and there was people that were huge Orlando fans, and they were getting up and yelling at each other. It was just like, what an amazing experience. I was glad. That's the first actual NBA game that I've been to, and
nice.
I'm not a huge NBA fan. Like, I'll watch the odd game. I don't follow a team and watch all the games. I'll check the scores and check the highlights and stuff. Like, I'll watch Sports Center. But that was the first one that I went to, and if I'm ever in another U.S. city that has, I won't go see the Raptors. Sorry. So if I'm in Toronto, I won't do that. But if I'm in a U.S. city that has an NBA team, I will definitely go and see it again. I really, really enjoyed it.
You know, it's Orlando. They've been around since '89, I think, right? I believe they were an expansion team, and they've had a bunch of great players like Shaq and Grant Hill, Tracy McGrady, even Vince Carter, like a bunch of great players. They've never won a championship. They've always been kind of good on paper, bad on the court, which is the story for them.
They've had numerous rebuilds, which means, oh crap, we screwed up. Let's fire all of our major stars, save some money, and then rebuild with rookies. And that's what they're in the middle of right now. They're in the middle of another rebuild. It doesn't help that you had the Knicks come, and even without some of their stars, they were just having, like, it didn't even seem like they were trying. Like, it was it was a good game. It was awesome. Like, I loved it. The highlight of the night was they have like the cheerleaders come out. Obviously the cheerleaders are a highlight. Like, hockey needs cheerleaders that look like the Orlando Magic girls. But anyway,
there's no room for cheerleaders in hockey, though, right? I mean, where would they sit?
They stand. There's ice girls in the U.S. like all the expansion teams, and they just stand on all the stands in the lower bowl and stuff like that. But anyway, the cheerleaders go and they do like tumbling routines and things, and they were doing these routines where they flip people in the air and do all that the great gymnastics type stuff. One of the spotters, I guess, got distracted and looked sideways, at the time that he did that, or that she did that, or no, it was a he. At the time that he did that, the girl lost her balance in the air and landed kind of like this. And this is her feet, this is her head. Someone grabbed her feet, and then she went boom and smacked her face right on the ground. And she was down for about 15 minutes. They had to bodyboard her. They had to basically like tie her feet and tie her stomach and tie her chest and then her neck. And I was just like, oh my God, like, I thought she died. Like, there was no movement for a while, and then she got up, or she didn't get up. She started waving when she's on the bodyboard and stuff like that. But it was just like,
is so dangerous, man. It's crazy.
It was nuts. And this is enough. People are giving us a hard time in the chat room. Yeah, we're talking NBA and stuff. I'm just talking about my trip. I loved Disney. I loved Orlando. I ate some really amazing restaurants downtown Orlando. I love that city, and I really can't wait to go back. But that's it. That's my trip. Jeff, what you been playing? How many video games have you played? Actual video games, digital video games, not watching people play with basketballs and throw hoops.
We can like sports and video games, people. Let's come to a compromise. So yeah, anyway, it's been 2 weeks, and it's been a long 2 weeks because there's been some big games have come out. I didn't pick up Hitman this week. I've actually got it on my Christmas list, so hopefully somebody will buy it for me. It's not one I want to buy right away, but I did buy Black Ops 2, which came out 2 weeks ago. And that's kind of like, everybody expected me to buy it. It was on my list. I'm going to buy it because that's the kind of game I want to play day one. And without getting into a review, I'm really, really enjoying it. It's very new, but it doesn't feel like it's too similar to the old Call of Duty. Modern Warfare 3 being the most recent one after this. And it's just a ton of fun to play. Not so much by myself, though. Max and I, he's a listener of this show. We've been playing a ton. And I just looked, and I guess he's been playing a lot by himself because I just looked on the leaderboards, and he's played like 100 more games than I have, and that's insane to me. I
Wow.
think I've played 62 games multiplayer. But yeah, I'll get into it more in the review section later on. But that's one of the ones that I'm playing. I also went back to 007 Legends. Unfortunately, I was telling Lloyd about this the other night when I was over at his house. The Skyfall DLC came out in conjunction with the movie. By the way, if you haven't seen that movie, go check it out. It's fantastic. It's a great Bond film. But I was really excited to play the DLC, and it gives you two missions. Two of the one of the biggest action set pieces, and then one where it's just kind of like a mission that Bond does in the movie, and they are direct from the movie. You know, like I'm not going to say what goes on in them because I don't want to spoil the movie for anyone, because that's what would happen if I did. However, what I will say is that they're terrible. Some of the worst designed game I've ever played in my life. It's horrendous and like shockingly bad. I mean, obviously I'd beaten the campaign of 007 Legends because I'd had the game for so long. And it wasn't this bad. I mean, there was bad, but it wasn't this bad. It was enjoyable. The story, you know, kind of progressed. I was going through some of my favorite movies, and you know, if you want to go and listen to the review, it's I believe it's episode 13 or 12 or something like that. It's a few episodes ago, and it's a fun game, but it's certainly not worth $60.
Right.
Granted, this DLC is free, so that's fantastic. But I think because it was free, they're like, let's not put any effort into it all. The second mission is such a joke that I honestly laughed when it was over, because I was like, I joked to myself out loud while I was playing it. As the thing went to black and I had finished the objective, I said to myself, I bet that's the end of it. And I said that as a joke. And then it was the end. And I was like, what? And what they do in the DLC is they completely bastardize the story of Skyfall and take one of the biggest plot points of the movie and completely change it to the exact opposite of what it is. And I have no idea why they do this.
Yeah.
And it is baffling to me. It is one of the worst pieces of DLC. It has to be the worst piece of DLC I've ever played in my life.
Maybe
I think
they
that I didn't buy it.
Maybe they didn't want to spoil the movie, Jeff, and tell you how the movie ended. They gave you
but
all the plot points, but they just changed the way that it ended, just so you're surprised when you go see the movie.
It's so bizarre. So bizarre. But yeah, it's absolute garbage. If you're still hanging on to your 007 Legends and you haven't played Skyfall, I would say don't play it at all. Literally avoid it, even though it's free, because it will make you hate that game. And I can't wait to get rid of 007 Legends. I'm going to go and trade it in for something, maybe next week.
Yikes.
Just a piece of friggin' trash, that game, that DLC.
Jeff,
man.
Tell us how you really feel.
Oh, loved it. Just loved it. Quacko in the chat room. I like how Jeff is so positive and upbeat. And then the last thing I've been playing, which we will review next week because I want to give Lloyd a chance to play it, is Walking Dead episode 5, which is the last episode of the franchise, or no, I guess not of the franchise, but of this
first
series.
season.
Yep. And fantastic, really, really fantastic. The only one that I've actually played in one solid sitting, without getting up and leaving. Really enjoyed it. Can't wait till you play it so that we can talk about it next week, because I think it'll be really, really fun. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Other than, Simpsons Tapped Out, which, has now been on my list every week. It's a game that I still play 2 or 3 times a day as things pop in because it's so addictive.
So you got your free Fat Tony?
Yes, I did. Yeah. And it kind of sucks because I'm so early on in the game that I don't have a lot of the other things unlocked. So all he can do is play the violin or get rid of a problem. So he's just constantly digging a hole for a dead body in somebody's front yard. That's all he ever does.
Well, there's a reason why he has such big muscles, right? It's because digging all the big holes. Awesome. So that's about it?
Yep. What about you, man?
Well, I was away on my trip 2 weeks ago, or I guess last week. This week has been all Wii U. So as Jeff said, I haven't played Walking Dead episode 5. I actually even forgot that it came out, just because I just so many other things to play.
You were surprised when I told you when I was at your house. I was like, by the way, did you play that?
I was like, oh crap, that did come out this week, didn't it? But anyway, I'll be picking that one up right away, and we'll definitely be playing that. Yeah, I've what have I been playing? I've been playing on the iOS platform. I've been playing a game called Skylanders Battlegrounds. It's another Skylanders game that came out, and this one is $7, so it's not a freemium title. Pretty expensive. I did a review on the Touch of Gaming episode number 123, which we just recorded, so that'll be up before this one airs. So if you want to hear about that game, check it out. It's actually really decent, and it's kind of like a tactical RPG / real-time arena battle game. It's this weird mixture of genres, but it actually kind of works. And it's also available as part of a physical game starter kit. So you can go to the store and buy the Skylanders Battlegrounds iOS starter kit, and it comes with a portal, it comes with characters, and you can actually use that portal just like you would on the console. You put a character on it, it appears in the game. So really weird, and kind of expensive. But yeah, I talked enough about that on episode number 123. So hopefully there'll be no more Skylanders talk. This is like the new MLB The Show of the bonus stage.
Yeah, I was just going to say, actually. It
So-
seems like this is your MLB The Show. And
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure which of us should be more ashamed of our guilty pleasure. You for playing a game that's marketed to kids, or me for nerding out on a baseball game.
Yeah, but see, I have 2 kids that I play with all the time. I play that game with them every day, every couple days. So I have a little bit of kind of wiggle room right there.
My defense would be I'm a hardcore Jays fan, and I always play wearing this hat.
You do everything wearing that hat, man.
I do.
And we'll leave it there. So I picked up the Wii U on Sunday. I got the Pro set. I picked up a bunch of games. So I have Nintendo Land. I have New Super Mario U. I have Zombie U. I have Scribblenauts, and I have Little Inferno. And we'll be talking about each of those games up when we do our review of the system. But
Yeah.
that
By
is
the way, if anybody was like waiting for our unboxing video, I dropped the ball on that. I woke up and I was just feeling like crap, and sent Lloyd a message, and I was like, I just can't get out of bed. I didn't get out of bed until like late that afternoon. It was a bad day, so my fault. I dropped the ball, and we didn't film a video. But there are still plans to do things of the video nature in the new year. So, oh, he's showing it off right now. It's actually pretty spoiler alert, pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. It is awesome. So yeah,
Charge that. It's only got 3 hours left on it.
yeah, it'll actually last this whole show. It's not that bad, but yeah, it is pretty bad. So yeah, Wii U is pretty awesome, but we'll talk about that when we do our full kind of overview / review of the Wii U in the upcoming segment. But now let's talk about new releases. So of course, starting off with the big one, a new console, the first new console of the new console generation, the Wii U came out. Available in two bundles. The regular edition, which is $299, gets you an 8 gig white console, or $349.99 gets you a 32 gig black console with a gamepad charger, a bunch of other stuff, and it has a free pack-in of the $60 Nintendo Land. So it's cheaper to buy the Pro version, and if you're going to be getting Nintendo Land anyway, and I do urge you to get it. It is actually a really fun game. Jeff kind of laughed about it when he first came over, but it actually is quite enjoyable, and it shows off kind of all the things that the gamepad can do. So it's like Wii Sports, but it's Wii Sports with actual like full blown games in them.
Yeah, I would say it's a little more robust, although it is still a collection of mini games at the center of it.
Yeah.
I really don't think it's worth $60 though. If you had to buy it separate, like if you just bought the regular console, I really would not think that's a good idea.
I can't recommend it for $60.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it was like, let's say if it was like $35 or $40,
yeah, $29.99.
I think that's a better manageable price.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So that came out. Hitman Absolution, like Jeff said, has come out. There's a bunch of Wii U titles, obviously. Nintendo Land, Zombie U, Batman Arkham City Armored Edition, New Super Mario Wii U. There's Darkstalkers 2. There's a whole bunch of sports games. There's, SingStar. There's like Let's Dance 4 or something, some other garbage that I'll never play. But then some other stuff that's not Wii U came out. We had Persona 4 Golden came out on the Vita. It's available in a regular version or the $100 super limited edition version, which
you got to be a crazy hardcore fan of that game to buy that. I think.
Yeah, I do think so. It's pretty crazy. We have PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale has come out on the Vita and the PlayStation 3, so that is.
For that one, I think you got to be a crazy hardcore idiot to buy that.
Really, not a fan.
Well, it just in concept seems like
it's Smash Brothers, man. It's Smash Brothers with not Nintendo characters, and it's getting good reviews. So,
which also hurts me a little.
Yeah.
I gotta figure that some payola, happened in those reviews because it's like it just without this being some sort of bash on Sony. It just seems like a stupid idea, and they're like, "Well, this is successful for them, so let's rip it off completely." And ugh.
Yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see how it does. I'm not going to buy that one full price. I mean, I'm a Smash Brothers fan. If it'll eventually hit like PlayStation Plus as a free download, I'm sure, and I'll pick it
probably
up
in a few weeks.
Yeah, exactly. So, but that's about it. Walking Dead episode 5, of course, and a lot of other things. But you guys are probably here because you want to hear about the Wii U. So, what do you say we take a small break, Jeff, and then we get into our initial overview / review of the Wii U console and some of the games that come with it?
Let's do it.
All right. So I'll play yet again a random chip tune. So I apologize if it's no good, if it's terrible, but here we go. This isn't a chip tune. All right. So we have our first miss. We have our first miss, Jeff.
Oh man, he writes in the chat room. He goes fading up sooner rather than later, and I said absolutely. I figured you'd let it roll for another 30 seconds.
No,
you're like, let's get this out of here.
Let's cut our losses. That was I mean, it's a good song, but it's not a chiptune. It was part of a chiptune collection, but it's not a chiptune. It's a live version. It's called Outage with Candles. It's by Subpixel from the album The Wave. It's a nice track, but it's not what I was wanting. I wanted chippy.
Yeah, Stephen Munn in the chat room. That kind of sucked.
Yeah, I wanted this.
I could listen to that better. Yeah.
I wanted stuff like that. So
we'll play that on the next break.
Yeah,
that's something to look forward to, viewers.
Yeah, I'll play that one. Real chippy McChippy tunes. Cool. All right, so let's get into the Wii U. So Sunday rolled around last Sunday. I got out of bed. I was told because in Winnipeg you can't do midnight launches. Stores cannot open before 9 a.m. on Sunday. It used to be noon. So Nintendo would come out with a game and you'd have to wait till noon to go pick it up. Now it's 9 a.m. But the mall where I pre-ordered, they didn't open till 11. So I was like, yay, an hour. But I went to the EB Games near my house and I said, are you guys doing anything special for the Wii U launch? Are you opening early? And they're like, yeah, we're gonna open at 10. So we're gonna open a 2 hours early, or 2 hours earlier than we normally would. I guess 1 hour earlier than we normally would. But we're actually gonna the doors are gonna be open to the mall at 9 o'clock. So you can come at 9, come wait in line. We're gonna open the doors as early as we can, at least 10 o'clock, and then you can come in and get your console. And I was like, sweet, awesome, gonna go do that. So Jeff texted me to let me know that he wasn't coming, so I went out and braved the cold because it was a cold Sunday morning in Winnipeg. Get to the mall at 8:30 or whatever, or 8:45. I wanted to get there early before the doors open. So I go up, none of the doors are open. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go wait in my car. Wait in my car till 9 o'clock. Go check all the doors. Doors are closed. I'm like, what the hell? So I go wait in my car again. I see other people kind of pull up and they're kind of waiting too. I see a lot of people go trying the doors. Didn't work. I drove around the mall trying all the doors. None of them were working. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe it doesn't open at 9. Maybe it opens at 9:30. So go wait in the car. At 9:30, I see a security guard come, but all he was doing was checking the doors. He wasn't opening the doors. So the doors weren't open. So finally at about 9:45, there's like a sea of people around the door because there's probably about 15 groups of people that were going to get their Wii U's. So I guess the EB Games was probably selling about 50 or 60 pre-orders, and most of the people were there right at like 9:30. And slowly making their way to the door. And at like 9:45, one of the people that works at the EB Games shows up. He's like, oh, the doors aren't open yet, eh? And we're like, no. Why are they not open? You said 9 o'clock. You said the store would be open at 10. It's now 9:45. He's like, oh, sorry. We'll see. I'll see what we can do. So he goes in through the security entrance. And I think it was like 10:15. I start seeing some milling around the EB Games in the mall because you can kind of see it from the door. No one's coming to get it, and it must have been about 10:20. You start seeing security guards come and they come to the door and they kind of look around and they go back and they're talking on their walkie-talkie. Finally, at 10:30. They opened the frickin' doors. So we got in a whole half hour early. So I was there for 2 hours waiting for the doors to open. Anyway, I know people that waited for like hours overnight to get it. So it's not such a big journey, but it was really annoying. Like
I really hate, if you're listening to this and you're a security guard, I hate you because there have been so many times doing a show on holiday at Kick FM where the security guards would not let us in because they're too afraid to break some BS rule and be like, oh, we're not allowed. We're not. Listen, would you you're a security guard? I mean, what the hell? It's so ridiculous that they're just so like
they
on
have
their
rules.
high horse about things, like they're the gatekeepers of the mall. Like it drives me crazy. I would have been so pissed if I was there with you and
we touched a nerve.
I
didn't know Jeff had a bias against security guards. So.
I just think they're just useless, and especially in a mall where they don't have weapons and they're usually old or slow in the head. I just can't stand them.
So
I
Jeff,
think they're absolutely useless.
How does that make you feel? When you think of a security guard, how does that make you feel?
It seems like an episode where all I'm going to do is just brutalize people.
Did a security guard hurt you as a child? Push you off your bike, Jeff?
He wouldn't let me get my Wii.
Oh, okay.
That actually sounds really weird.
Yeah, I don't even want to go there. So, so I finally get in and I pick up my Wii U. I'm like the third or fourth person in the store, but for some reason, everybody else is slow. And I actually get my console first and I walk out. And I made a joke. They're like, yeah, you get this free canvas bag if you pick up your system today. And I'm like, yeah, that's worth the cold toes. And one of the guys behind the counter is like, that is the worst thing I've ever heard. You live in Winnipeg. It's only -10. Hey, we get -40. And he's like railing at me. And I'm like, dude, it's a joke. Calm down.
What a dick.
And I'm like, what's your problem? He's like, well, y'all, you guys are just so crazy to get your system. It's like, yeah, we paid $350 plus tax for this thing. Yeah, we're excited to get it. So if you don't want to work here, there's other jobs in the mall. Why don't you go find another job? He was just
like a security guard.
You could be a security guard. You could not let us in the next time a console comes out. But it was just, I don't know. It was just so dumb. So dumb. Finally get my system, get in the car. So I picked up the Wii U, the black. I picked up Super Mario U. I picked up Zombie U. I picked up the Pro Controller and a Wiimote. Came home, set it up, and took it out of the box, and it was like this new system. It's the one thing I don't like about it is it's black, so it shows like every fingerprint ever that exists in the world is now on my console. It's kind of disgusting. But anyway, yeah, it glistened exactly is what it did, Quacko. So I hooked it up, and I the first thing I was really impressed at, other than like the GamePad, because I'd held one before, but it was tied down to a kiosk, so it had all these cables on it. The GamePad itself is like super damn light. Like it's crazy light. So we
were talking about this. It's not light as in like a cheap feeling light. It feels really well built.
Yeah.
But it's made of plastic, but it doesn't feel like you're gonna break it in your hands.
Yeah.
It to me, it's kind of the difference between, and I hate to make this comparison, but the difference between the way an iPhone is built and the way like a Samsung Galaxy S3 is built.
Yeah.
Both great phones, but the iPhone just has that better build quality.
Yep.
It feels stronger.
Yeah, it definitely, it feels like something that's more like engineered than something that was just thrown together.
Yeah,
is what it feels
absolutely.
like. So I hooked it up and went through the setup process, and I gotta say, like, Nintendo, they have the out of box experience down pat. Like, they give you interesting things to look at. Like, there was like this character was leading me through the process, and there's a bunch of different menus. One of the things that it gets you to do is it says, do you want to set up the Wiimote or the gamepad with your television? And if you hit yes, it says, okay, well, what kind of television do you have? Type in the first few characters. So I hit like PA, and it's like Panasonic, and I'm like, yep. Click on that, and it's like, okay, hit this button, and does your TV turn off? So I hit the button, my TV turns off, and I go, yep. It's like, okay, your TV's all set up. So now from the gamepad, even when the system's off, even when the gamepad's off, I can just hit the little remote button. There's like a little TV button, and a little TV remote comes on, and I can turn the TV on, change the inputs, turn the volume up and down. And that's all part of the initial setup. So even before you're getting in and going into the gaming, it kind of reinforces that, yeah, this thing can control your entertainment center. This thing can be the center of your digital experience on your system, which is kind of
actually pretty cool. Like, I think Nintendo's got this thing in their brain where, while Xbox and Sony want their consoles to be the media hub of your living room, Nintendo has it so that if you, and it asks you, right, and it does it so quickly and so easily, why wouldn't you say yes?
Yep.
Every time you want to turn on your TV, you're going to pick up your Wii U. And that is like just this fantastic, user experience where you won't really ever not be using the Wii U. That was a horrible sentence, but I think you know what I mean, right? Like, there will never be a situation where it's going to sit there, because it's going to be your TV remote, right? It's going to give you updates and metadata about shows you're watching and all that kind of stuff. And it's really, really fantastic. And I think that's one of those things that, like, I wish the other companies would kind of take a look at, but I'm not sure if they're going to be as successful. I know that we talked about smart glass a few weeks ago, and that's pretty cool, but I've got to turn that on a separate device, right? This is all in one, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah, you have to own an iPad, or you have to own a Surface, or you have to own something else.
Yeah.
It's just nice that everything's all built in the same box. So through the rest of the setup, you create a Mii. If you have a 3DS, you can import your Mii from your 3DS. All that fun stuff. And then eventually you get to the system, and it's like, okay, there's an update available. And I'm like, oh, okay. I read about this update all day. I was checking my Twitter feed all morning, and all the pre-release consoles that were out there that like game journalists had, they were updating it, and they were saying that this patch was taking 2 hours, a patch was taking 3 hours, and then closer to and this was like from the previous night, closer to when I was picking it up, it's like, okay, the patch is taking about an hour, and I was like, oh crap, this is gonna take about an hour for me to do. So I put my gamepad on the charging cradle, I start the update, I go have a little bit of food to eat, I come back down. It was about 10 minutes, and the update was about 40% of the way through, and it's like,
nice.
Oh, cool. So it's not as long, it's not an hour, it was only about 25 minutes. So I let the thing get to the end, and then it takes like another 15 minutes to apply. Like, it took a long time to apply, and it was only after that I found out that this update is about a gig that it's downloading, and that gig of information then has to be installed. So it has to basically go into a mode where it's actually flashing the firmware of your device and then storing some of the OS on the flash. So it was a serious patch. People were saying that it was about 4 gigs. People that actually had bandwidth monitors saying it was just a little bit over 1 gig. Either way, it was a huge patch, and a
lot to download over wireless too, because there's no like line in to plug the thing in.
The only thing that you can only connect through wireless with the system unless you buy the USB Ethernet adapter, which is kind of odd, but I guess more the way that everybody's doing things nowadays. Everybody has wireless in their home. I don't know if I like downloading large files over wireless. Like, my PS3 and my 360 are wired, but I mean, it downloaded fast, so that wasn't a problem. So the update runs. the system reboots and it looks totally different than it did before. Like the home screen has all these like icons that are floating in the background. It looks all shiny and nice, and it's like, oh, okay, this actually did something. The patch itself added support for Netflix, Hulu Plus, Amazon Instant Video, and YouTube, but none of them were live. Except for Netflix. So it was like, okay, you added these icons that aren't usable right now. Thanks, Nintendo. It also added the Miiverse, updated some of the other base software, and it just made things that much nicer. So it was a worthwhile patch. So I was like, okay, this is done patching. This is great. I want to try out Nintendo Land because I want to get some usage out of the gamepad and start using it. So I grabbed my gamepad off the charger. I grabbed Nintendo Land. I put it in the system, and it's like, an update's available. And it's like, oh, okay. So I hit update, and that update took like 15 minutes to come down and install.
Oh, man.
So
while all that was happening, were you thinking like, oh my God, is this another Sony thing where?
No, what I was thinking is I went from being, why the hell does Nintendo not allow their developers to patch their games? It's the stupidest idea ever, to, oh my God, why the hell does Nintendo allow developers to patch their games? It's the stupidest idea ever. I flipped 100% from one direction to the other. It was just so weird. But you got to understand, like, this is when every single person that bought a console, like 500,000 people or whatever their first day sales was, it was updating at exactly the same time. So I've had to update a game since, and it was fast. Like it took no time. So I think it was just the everybody updating all at the same time that was an issue. Gotcha. But so anyway, I popped Nintendo Land in, and immediately I get the controller now. At first, because I played it with it once, and I picked it up, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's a gimmick. Where do I look? Do I look down? Do I look up? What am I doing? After playing with it for about a half hour, actually even before playing a game, just getting the console all set up, I kind of got what the pad is. Like it's not anything. It's whatever the developers want it to be. It could be a mirror. The TV can be mirrored on it. It can do stuff that the TV can't do. It can be used in games where you get a unique view on the thing. Like when we played the Luigi's Mansion Ghost Hunt yesterday, Jeff, with you, me, and my kids, which was
much fun,
which was crazy. And yeah, it's just like I get it now. I get what Nintendo was doing. I was super skeptical. I was like, why the hell are they putting a pad? It doesn't have multi-touch. This is stupid. You can't load games into it. You can't take it with you, blah, blah, blah. I'm totally, again, flipped 100% the other direction, and I get what Nintendo is doing with their system.
Let's actually talk really quickly about multi-touch, because some people in the chat room are talking about it. I'm not quite sure it's necessary. I know that there's multi-touch and stuff on the Vita, and
Yep.
of course, like any iOS device has multi-touch. Almost any phone that has a touchscreen now has multi-touch.
Yeah.
If you're manufacturing a gamepad that has control sticks and buttons as well too, multi-touch doesn't really seem like it needs to be there. It takes a lot to bring your hand off of a device and touch a screen anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't want to be pinching to zoom, and it is a very large controller, which I was surprised because I only had seen video of it until Thursday night when I came over to your place.
Yeah.
And checked it out, and I was like, holy crap, is it big? I mean,
Sure.
I think that's the first thing I said was like, this is huge.
I don't know if you guys can see it on the video.
Yeah.
It's actually wider than my iPad.
Yeah,
So-
and that's very large. I mean, it feels big, and it's light. But if you're holding it in one hand, it can get a little bit taxing on your wrist, right? So I mean, I wouldn't want to be touching the touchscreen too much.
Well,
unless I'm playing
if you
Scribblenauts.
have,
I also don't want to put the thing in my lap either.
if you have little girly wrists, Jeff, it can get taxing on your
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
So I don't think that multi-touch needs to be in there. I don't think it brings in that many advances to the gaming part of the tablet.
Yeah.
That are necessary.
I agree, and I also disagree. And we talked about this. We did one of the episodes. I know we had a big debate about it. And my only thing with multi-touch where I don't like the direction that they went is that I gave my daughter my iPad at 1. She was just over 1, and she saw a door icon or an icon she recognized. She touched it. And then it had some pictures and things, and she got right away like that she could pinch or or zoom, and she's like 1. You can't even communicate with words with her, really. Like, she can't communicate back with me, and she was figuring out multi-touch and how to use it. So it's a more intuitive method of control for certain things. The problem is Nintendo wants you to use a stylus for typing and stuff like that. They'd have to have some sort of capacitive stylus.
I was actually going to say, like, it's a resistive touchscreen?
Yeah, it's a resistive touchscreen. So it's the same thing that they've had on the DS from way back in the day. It's that same touchscreen technology. So it would be great if it had multi-touch, just because it would be more future-proof. That means that developers have yet another thing that they can do. So instead of having to like touch a big icon for up or down to zoom in on a map, you could just have like take your fingers off the thumbsticks. I can't really show it on screen. So take your fingers off the thumbsticks and go here and just kind of slide out and zoom in on a map. Like the screen is so close to the buttons where stuff like that would be possible, and they're not possible without multi-touch. So
yeah, okay.
I think it's a bit of a miss, but Nintendo has also said that they're going to be selling replacement controllers and second controllers. So who knows? Maybe in the future they can come out with a multi-touch controller. So for like 2, 3, 4 years in, they could add new life to the console by adding a different controller.
That's true.
I don't know if people are going to want to spend $100 to do that, but you never know, right?
Some people in the chat room, I can't remember who said it. What was it? It was Prometheus had said, why not have multi-touch on there if it's so cheap to add?
Yeah.
I don't actually know if it's cheap to add or not. Is multi-touch like a thing that's like very cheap now?
Well, I don't buy components at the small level. I know that at like a screen on an iPhone is like dollars, and I don't know, a screen for this, like the DS, is probably maybe a little bit cheaper. But when you're selling a $350 console, even if it's an extra $1 to manufacture, that's just an extra $1. I mean, sure, you're going to be maybe losing that $1. They're losing money on the console right now. They say they have to sell a game to make any money on the console.
Really?
So yeah, so if you buy the system and then you buy one game, Nintendo's made money. If you don't buy a game, Nintendo's lost money. So it's the first console that they've ever released where they've lost money.
I did not know that. Quacko's saying that they're selling it very close to cost.
Yeah,
and then Steven said below cost.
Yeah, Reggie had an interview and he said, yeah, they're selling it below cost, but you just have to buy one game and they make money. So they make about $10 on a sale of a game because of licensing fees. So they're probably selling it like $9 under cost or something like that. So, but anyway, even if it costs a couple more dollars, it would future-proof the system for things that could be coming down the pipe. So anyway, I don't see it as a big issue. I'll pull out my gigantic stylus that it comes with and tap things on the screen, and it's fine for now. Who knows? They can maybe change it in the future.
Yeah.
All right. So what else? So the unboxing, the first loading. Let's talk a little about games. So the system, if you buy the deluxe version, comes with a $60 game, which should be a $30 game maybe. Called Nintendo Land, and basically it's a collection of mini games set in Nintendo worlds with this really annoying mascot called Monita, which is a monitor with a hand. And people in the chat room are saying they hate Monita.
Oh man, there's some mad smack talk going on about Monita in the chat room.
I hate Monita as well. But basically, she's your tour guide. So you land in Nintendo Land, and you're in this little circular area with little doors all around you. There's like a dozen mini games or whatever.
Also, in the interest of full disclosure, when I first saw Nintendo Land, I was
you made fun of it?
Like, I was a naysayer. I was like, bah, it's just Wii whatever, and it's garbage, and I was completely against it. And then Lloyd was like, listen, shut up for just 2 seconds, and let's play it, and then we'll see what changes.
Yeah. Yeah,
and he was right to do that, because my opinion changed rapidly.
Actually, I think your thing is, that's stupid. I don't even want to play that. And I'm like, no, it's decent. You're like, no, it's just Wii Sports. Let's do something else. I'm like, dude, no, we got to check it out. You're like, fine. And so we jump into Nintendo Land, and the first game, I kind of walk around the area and kind of show how the Wii U GamePad has a set of gyroscopes in it as well. So it's in Nintendo Land, the screen is mirrored on your television, what's on your game screen, but you hold it up and go like this and move it around, and it does that on the TV as well, which I think
very disorienting.
I think I almost made Jeff puke by doing that.
Yeah, I got dizzy.
But it basically shows off that, yeah, this is a gyroscope. Whatever you do with this can basically show on the television as well, which is pretty cool. What else? So we jumped right into a game, and to show Jeff that this wasn't a kiddie collection of mini games, we jumped right into Metroid Blast, which is only multiplayer. You need at least 2 people, up to 5, I believe. Yes, 5. 4 Wiimotes and 1 gamepad. And it's basically a battle mode where you jump into this arena and all these enemies spawn and you have to kill them. And if you're the Wiimote guy, you're like a Samus Aran with an arm blaster, and you run around and you shoot things by pointing.
That's what I was playing.
Exactly, by pointing the Wiimote. If you're on the gamepad, you're this little flying saucer, and you target guys by moving, or you control the ship by moving the dual analog sticks. So one makes you go up and down, the other one makes you go left or right, and then you control where you're looking by tilting the gamepad up and down. So it's a little bit harder to control with the gamepad, but it shows you that there's different gameplay possibilities. So we did a couple arena battles, shooting things. Since you had the Wiimote, you're killing like things like 2 or 3 times as fast as I am. Which
it's significantly easier on the ground because, well, first of all, they've got a little target on them, which is the only spot where you can shoot them because it's Nintendo and it's a Nintendo-made game, so it's a little bit more family-friendly than just like, just go for the headshot. But yeah, there's like a little target, and I'm just basically blasting away, looking around with the what the hell is the long stick called?
The Wiimote?
The Wiimote.
I can tell you, but I don't think that's what you're talking about, Jeff.
Yeah, it's been so long since I played the Wii.
So
That's
you
how
have the Wiimote and the nunchuck is what it's
called. I don't
called.
even know what it is, but yeah, and then you move around with the nunchuck, and it was actually pretty fun. Like, I mean, you're just shooting guys, and Lloyd's up there raining down fire from above, and you can turn into a ball and roll around, although you're extraordinarily slow when you do. But yeah, it was actually kind of fun. We were just like shooting stuff, and I think the best part about it wasn't necessarily the gameplay, but it looked fantastic. Like, it was really, really well designed in the way that it looked. Like, I don't really have anything to akin it to, but it certainly looked HD, which blew me away. I mean, I was like, wow, this is high definition. Like, Nintendo, what's going on here? So yeah, it looked pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it looked really good, and it's neat. And the fact, like you said, that Nintendo's not cheapening the experience. It's not just this like boring white room with enemies appearing and you're going around. It's like this full city environment, kind of abstracted, but it's a full city environment. If you're in the spaceship, you can fly around all these things and fly into things. But yeah, and I mean, it's good. So we finished our Metroid Blast and we came out. We played. Did we go right into the second game, the Luigi's Mansion? I think we did, right?
I think we did, yeah.
Yeah, so Luigi's Mansion is a little bit different. It's multiplayer only, and one person is the ghost. The other people that play, because you can have up to 5 people, use the Wiimotes, and they're Luigi or other people with flashlights. And basically, you have to shine the flashlight on the ghost to kill the ghost, or the ghost has to attack the people to kill them. And that's it. But it basically shows that I can have a different experience on the gamepad than Jeff was on the television. So he's looking at the television trying to find me, and I can see where he is at all times and go and scare him and stuff like that.
And it's a blast, guys. Like, I was surprised that I got it. First of all, we all got into it. That was the first time you had played it as well, too, right?
Yeah, I hadn't played that one yet, and my kids were just like, "Oh my god, that's the best thing ever!"
Oh,
and they're falling over,
out.
laughing. They wanted to play, so we were playing multiplayer, like 3 people playing it, and it was fun. I got to dig out some more Wiimotes so I can have 5 player on this thing, and I was like, yeah, this is the perfect game to play at like a party when people are drinking and just wanting to have some fun. Oh,
sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was going to say, it just shows kind of like all the different experiences you can have with this system that you can't really have with anything else.
Yeah, and that's actually kind of what I was going to say too. I mean, what it really did, I mean, it was a really fun game, but, I couldn't see myself playing it for, 2 or 3 years or anything like that, right? No. And certainly not at any great length. But what it certainly did was kind of opened up my eyes to possibilities where game designers are like, hey, if we darken this up a bit, maybe mature it a little bit, it could certainly be a freaky friggin' game, right?
Hmm.
Let's say it's not Luigi anything, right? And it's not cutesy, but it's a legit ghost hunting game, right? Where you're
Yep.
just walking around with a flashlight and that's your only defense to maybe even a fatal frame kind of thing,
Hmm.
and somebody's on that Wii U gamepad and they're the ghost stalking you
Yep.
and they know where you are, but you have no idea. There was a vibrate thing that in the Wiimote, right? When Lloyd as the ghost would get close to me, my Wiimote would vibrate and be like, okay, he's close. I'm just like spinning around trying to find him.
Yeah, and the
That would
closer I
be
got, the more
fantastic in a
the more
good
it would
horror
vibrate
game.
and all that stuff like that. So yeah. It's very interesting, and like we'll get to Zombie U in a second, but there's a multiplayer mode in Zombie U where chat room's just getting nasty. There's
18 plus for the chat room tonight.
there's a multiplayer mode in Zombie U where you play the person that plays the gamepad is kind of like the director of the zombies, so you can basically unleash zombies in the world, and the more people you kill, the more points you get, so the bigger zombies you can unleash. And then the people that are playing on the television or online are the survivors that are trying to kill all the zombies. And so that, I mean, it's totally different than any other experience that you can have. Like it's maybe similar to maybe a Left 4 Dead or whatever, where you could jump into kind of like the enemies and play that. But this is like you can have the same experience in the same room on the same television with this. It's not something that you can actually do any other time. So I don't know. I really kind of like it. Nintendo Land itself is kind of like it's kind of a throwaway. It's something that I'm glad I have. I wouldn't go out of my way to get it if you don't get the Pro console.
Yeah,
There's a
I
couple.
wouldn't either. I mean, until it comes down in price. Although one of the good things about it is like with Wii Sports was very gimmicky, right?
Yeah.
Where it was fun, but it was a really gimmicky game.
And it's also the reason why the Wii did so good, because you had all the
Absolutely.
geriatric rooms that had Wii's in it, because all the older people that are bedridden or can't get out, or old folks home, people wanted to go bowling, and they could go bowling with the Wiimote, and it worked just like they were at the bowling lanes. Like
Yeah.
it's something that you couldn't really do before, and it introduced gaming to a whole new generation of people, or a whole older generation of people that maybe hadn't gamed before. The Wii U isn't so friendly, so I don't know if the same thing's going to happen, but it definitely is going to introduce you to a bunch of different gaming possibilities, we'll say.
For sure.
So yeah, Nintendo Land has some other games in it. It has it has a really cool ninja thing where you hold the gamepad kind of like lengthwise instead of sideways, and then you're flipping on the screen to throw ninja stars and stuff like that. It, wow. I got to stop looking at the chat room. It keeps distracting me.
It's getting dark in there.
And there's a bunch of other mini games, and they're all really fun. I've played all of them now, and they're all fun. I don't know.
Is that golf one on there where you get to use the thing as like where your ball is?
No, that's
Oh.
not out. That's not out at all.
Damn.
Maybe the next Tiger Woods or whatever that they're going to call the PGA Tour now.
Because I mean that's a total gimmick, but I think it's kind of cool, and I can't even explain why. Because it's like, oh, you get to look at the floor and your stupid balls there, but I don't know. It's kind of cool, but I know it's a total gimmick, and that just drives me crazy in my own brain.
Exactly. So yeah, that's Nintendo Land. After I took that out, the next game I played was New Super Mario U. Put it in. Of course, there was another patch, and that took forever to install. But once it was installed, this is a 2D Mario with 3D sprites in HD, and that shouldn't mean a lot to people, because they're like, yeah, who cares? They're 2D sprites, who cares? Or they're 2D or 3D representations of 2D sprites, who cares? But the game has this level of polish that you've never seen in Mario before. Like things as simple as you throw a fireball, and the fireball like lights up the environment where it's bouncing, and it's just like, who cares? Like it doesn't add anything to the game, but when you there's all these little visual cues where it's like, holy crap, this actually looks really good.
Yeah,
Things
it blew me away by how great the graphics were.
Yeah, things like little particle systems, things blowing around in the levels. There's a level where there's clouds that are covering coins, and the clouds are like, they look like fluffy, like real clouds, and as you go through them, the clouds kind of dissipate and stuff like that. So I mean, who cares if it's a 2D Mario? Who cares if it looks like kind of photorealistic in some areas? Who cares that it looks really nice? But it just shows like HD gaming possibilities on the system. It's just going to make things look that much nicer. So New Super Mario U is it's Mario. It's you run from left to right, you jump on things, you collect coins, you get to the end and jump on the flag. What I like about this one is there's new items in it. You can turn into a flying squirrel, which is kind of cool. You pick up this acorn and you basically get a squirrel suit so you can glide. But it takes some of the favorite things that you've seen in Super Mario 3 and New Super Mario World and kind of adds them back in to the game. So you have this huge overworld. You have 8 worlds in this game. They all have different themes. Obviously, that's how Nintendo is. But the game is huge. Because New Super Mario Brothers 2 on the 3DS was it was kind of small. It was tiny, to be honest, and you only really got you only got a lot of gameplay from it when you if you started like replaying things over and over and over again. But this game is actually really kind of huge. As I said, it introduces things back from like little nods to New Super Mario, or sorry, Super Mario World and Mario 3. Like there's little white question or note blocks you can jump on. There's items that you haven't seen in a long time. There's those little gopher guys that jump out of buildings or jump out of blocks of dirt and jump into the air, and you can jump on them. So I think this is like the really the way to introduce Mario on this new system. Make it look better, harken back to some of the earlier kind of Mario games, and really show you how far I guess the franchise has gone. So it's Mario. If you don't like Mario, you're not gonna like this game. If you like Mario, it's definitely something that you should own. It kind of shows off a lot of the gameplay functionality of the gamepad. I played it a lot with my daughter. She loves Mario. She talks like Mario around the house. So she'll be like, "It's me, Mario," around the house, and it's the most adorable thing ever. But I let her play, and what I did is I gave her a Wiimote to play. So you hold it sideways and use the D-pad and stuff like that. So she's playing. And she's about to fall in a hole. So I touch the screen right below her because it's mirroring the television on the gamepad, and it makes this little platform appear for 3 seconds. So she jumps in the air. She's about to fall. I touch the screen. She lands on a platform, jumps off it. It saves her life. So we must have spent about 2 hours playing Mario together, and I was just Quack was making fun now of how I'm saying Mario. I'm finally saying it the way that everybody says I should say it, and now I should be saying Mario.
Mario.
Oh God, I can't. You guys, you're never happy. You're never happy.
They're on point tonight. They're not letting anything go by.
But so we're playing Mario for about 2 hours, and I'm having fun. I'm saving her. You can touch enemies to kind of make them like go, blah, oh, you're touching me. You can grab platforms that are moving to slow them down, and it's made like Mario, which used to be a single player experience, is now kind of a multiplayer experience without having multiple people on the screen. You can have fun with another character just by saving them and doing things like that. And you can also,
it's actually a really cool element. And like Mario isn't a 2-player game. Like I mean, I guess it has been because you can, when somebody dies, you can start again, but like you can't play at the same time.
Well, New Super Mario, you had the 4-player mode where you could have 4 people, and you could go into a bubble and save yourself that way. Now it's a 5-player game because you can have 4 people on Wiimotes and 1 person on the gamepad. It was funny, like after when I set up the Wiimote, or the Wii U rather, and my daughter's playing with the Wiimote, Kara had to go out run some errands, and she comes back, and Allie's like, "Mama, come here and play Mario." So Kara comes downstairs and she's like, "Oh, what's this?" So Allie gives her the Wiimote, and so Kara's jumping, trying to get over gaps, and I keep putting platforms above her head, and she would hit them and then die, and I'd laugh and laugh and laugh, and she'd look at me, and she did it again, and I'd put platforms above her head and she'd die, and I'd laugh and laugh, and then she looked like she was going to hit me, so I stopped doing that as well. So those
sick man, Hannison.
Those platforms are good for helping, and they're also good for trolling. So depending on the like, I could see this coming out at a party as well, and a bunch of people drunk trying to play and trying to screw each other up. It's going to be fun for all sorts of reasons. So I really enjoyed it.
Because it's mirrored on the other screen. Where is it more fun to play? Is it more fun to play like you're holding a big DS, or is it like, because when I was playing, right, and I had the controller in my hand and it was playing on the lower screen, the one in my hands and the one on the TV, I found it really hard to concentrate on just one.
Yeah, you have to pick one. So you have to figure out whether you want to look at the TV or if you just want to look at the gamepad. Like I could start up Mario now. I'm sitting in my room, in my recording studio. I could just start up the Wii U and I could play it, and that's fine. I could play it on the gamepad. I prefer to play it on the television. The gamepad has a speaker, of course, so sound comes through it, but it's not as good as my television. So I prefer to play it on the TV, but it's set up in such a way where you don't need a TV to even play it. Or I was playing Mario with Allie, and someone wanted to watch something on the TV, so I changed to my Apple TV, put a movie on, and Allie was just playing on the gamepad, and she made that switch immediately. Like she's like, "Oh, I'm playing on here," and then it's like, "Okay, you can play on the TV again." So she looks at the TV and she's playing that way. So,
what's the distance you can be from the actual console?
They say 15 feet. I'm about 25 feet away from my television right now, and it's still working. Okay. So it all depends if you're going through walls and concrete and stuff like that. But they say if you're at least 15 feet, you're good. They say the max range is 30, but the recommended range is no more than 15 feet. I'm about 25 right now, and it's fine.
Okay, cool.
Yep. So that's New Super Mario U, and we'll do, if you guys want, I can do a full review in future episodes. We're kind of just giving you a bit of an overview of all the games. One really cool aspect about the Wii U that no other console has had is that of day one, you turn on the system and you could download full retail titles from the eShop. So you don't have to go to a store to buy a game. You can actually just buy it right on your console. So I wanted to try it out. So I bought a copy of Scribblenauts. So I paid the full retail price and downloaded it. It was about 1.4 gigs. It took no time to download. It was maybe 10 minutes. It was really, really fast. So we're not talking like PlayStation where you start a 100 meg download and you go make a sandwich by actually going and growing the wheat and making it into bread and growing the animal that you're going to slaughter to make the meat for it. It's not that slow like PlayStation. It was really fast. It installed, and I have now on my home screen, I have Scribblenauts, and it's the full retail version that I can play on that. With the deluxe version, they're going to have this digital reward system where every game that you buy online, you get 10% of the cost of that back as points, and then you can use those points as discounts on games in the future. So you can pay $60 in the store and get a game that you can then go get $40 back as trade and get another game or whatever, or $30 or $20 or whatever. Or you can buy it digitally, a game that you know you're going to want, and then you get 10% refunded back to you that you can then use as a kind of a discount on a game in the future. So it's kind of an interesting idea. They're not pissing off like the GameStops, because a game is $60 in GameStop and it's $60 on the Wii U. But they're also kind of rewarding you to buy a game digitally, which means you can never loan it to a friend. You can never trade it in. Nintendo has your $50, and they're not going to lose another $50. That's not going to cost them another sale. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of interesting. But yeah, so I downloaded Scribblenauts and played that. It's kind of cool playing Scribblenauts on my television and in HD.
It looks great in HD.
It looks really good, but it's Scribblenauts and it's $60. And I own Scribblenauts on my iOS device. I play it on my iPad all the time, and it cost me $5. And it's probably almost as big as a game. So I think some of these games are going to have to kind of figure out kind of what the price point is. I think Nintendo obviously wanted every game to launch at the $60 price point. I've seen there's a Rayman Raving Rabbids game that is $40, and I think there's like Sega and Sonic All-Star Racing Evolved or whatever the hell it's called is also $40, but pretty much everything else is like the full price. So
when you're in a situation like that where you're Nintendo, when you want the prices of your games to be higher, are they thinking that the higher the price the game is, the more the consumer will think it's valuable? Like if they're like, oh, well, all our games are cheaper, but the consumer goes in there and goes, well, it's $20 cheaper, it's got to be $20 less valuable.
Yeah, I think that's a bit of the price, or a bit of the reason for the price. Developers have also come out and said that Nintendo is being super open on their platform. So if you make a game for the system, unlike Xbox, where Fez, remember the big thing with Fez where they released a patch that would basically get rid of the bug that would delete your save game in a small percentage of people, and then Xbox wanted to charge them like 25 grand to certify it, and they said, we're not paying 25 grand for it. We're not making enough money. And Nintendo said, or Microsoft said, sorry, that's what it's going to cost. So they pulled the patch and said, yeah, we're not releasing a patch. It's not cost effective for us to do that. As an indie developer on the system, you can release as many patches as you want, and they don't cost you anything.
Which is awesome.
It doesn't cost you anything for file transfers. It's basically becoming like as open and easy as Steam, but it's on a Nintendo platform, which is really odd because Nintendo isn't friendly or open at all. They're the most anal controlling corporation in gaming.
I believe to get into Nintendo headquarters, you have to go through like a trillion doors like they did in Get Smart, where it's like just a bunch of blast doors that
one
keep
goes
opening
up, one goes sideways, you walk into one closes on you. It's exactly like that.
Scanners and fingerprints and palm keys.
Exactly. And developers have also said that they can set their own price. Previously on like with the Wii Shop, you would submit your game to Nintendo. Nintendo would say, yep, this is good enough. It's past certification. It's going to be $7 and it's coming out in a month. And it's like, well, no, I want it to release today and I want it to be $3. Nintendo would say, too bad, take it or leave it. On the Wii U, as a developer, you can set your own price, and you can make sale prices whenever you want. You can go in and edit the price. Apparently, that's what is going to happen. So you can basically be sure in the future, in like months or two, that you're going to get games that are going to be 99 cents or $2 or whatever the minimum price point is. Developers are going to put their stuff on sale. So I don't think it's going to be as vibrant as iOS, because you still have to apply to become a Wii developer. But I'm sure that I'm sure that in one, I don't know, one time or another, Nintendo's going to open this up a little bit more, and you're going to get more independent, like iOS developers making games for their console.
And do you think that Nintendo's being so open right from the get-go because they have so much ground to cover in this space?
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. They know that they've been kind of the underdogs for the last generation. Even though they sold more consoles than anybody else, they don't have kind of like the geeks loving them, right? So they kind of
people thought it was just a throwaway console. I mean, literally, what's the price of a Wii now if you wanted to go buy one? Less than $100.
Yeah, it's like $149 or $129 or something.
It's probably bundled with 65 games.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's good. And the fact that you could just download stuff, like, I'll move on to the next downloadable game. I downloaded a game called Little Inferno. It's by Tomorrow Corporation. They're the guys that did World of Goo. And this game is essentially a arson simulator, but it's tied around a really interesting story. So you're a kid that got a new patented, super happy Little Inferno fireplace kit. And so basically the only thing you can do is your view is this fireplace, and you put things in the fire, and then you touch the screen with a stylus, and it makes like a little arc of flame wherever you touch. And then you basically touch the item, and the item starts on fire, and then it spews forth gold. And you touch the gold, you get gold, you buy more items, you burn them, you get more gold, you buy more items, you burn them. And that's how the game is. And it has a story. Like, I beat the game in about 4 hours, and it's about $15 or whatever for the download. So it's pretty expensive for the amount of joy that you get out of it. But it's a really fun game, and it's available on PC, but it's not available on any other console. It's available on the Wii U only. And
yeah, it actually just came out on PC, I believe, on the 21st, so Wednesday.
Yeah, and it's available on Steam or the Wii U, and it launched on the Wii U first. And I'm really excited that this came out, because World of Goo was awesome, and it did really well on the Wii. This did really well on the Wii U. Apparently, it's selling really well. They're happy. This just means that more independent developers are going to start developing things. But anyway, this is kind of a non-game game. It has some sort of like, it has some moral issues that you have to deal with. The story is about excess and people throwing all their money away and stuff. Like, it has this like undertone of like I don't know, consumerism and stuff, anti-consumerism on it. But it's just this really awesome game. And yeah, you can't play this on anything else and have the same experience, because you have this little thing in front of you and you're playing it and touching the screen. it felt so much like an iOS title, not because it was cheap or throwaway, but it was innovative and it was fun to control just by touching the screen. So Prometheus in the chat room is asking if there's any replay value. Not really. There's 100 combos. So the game revolves around you buying items and burning them. And if you burn 2 or more of specific items at the same time, you'll unlock a star for that combo. And the combos are named in such a way, so it'll be like someone else's things. So you know that you're looking for stuff that is someone else's things. Well, on the first page, the first catalog you unlock, there's someone else's credit card and someone else's photo frame. So you burn those 2 and then you unlock that combo. So spoilers, I just gave away one of the early combos, so don't get mad at me. But the whole thing is like that. And you unlock things like planets that have gravity and all this other stuff. My kid's favorite is it's called Kitty Kitty Poo Poo Plushie, and it's a cat that when you burn, it ends up crapping all over the screen. It's
amazing.
It's like,
and your kids call them the poopy cats, which I think is even a better name.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. It's the best thing I've ever seen in probably any video game.
Yeah, so my kid's favorite thing in the world right now is for me to buy, because I've beaten the game. I have a 7-item slot, so I can buy 7 items at the same time. They want me to put 7 cats on the screen and make them all crap at once, which slows down the Wii U to a crawl because there's so much crap, literally crap flying on the screen that then all lights on fire and there's this huge inferno of crap being burnt.
It makes like this noise as they, it's just so
it's hilarious. It's hilarious. But I mean, there's items like that. Like the game is super humorous, like World of Goo. Like I just love it, and I love that I have this experience now because I have a Wii U in my house, which I don't think this game would have really existed on anything else, just because the mechanics wouldn't really be there. There's nothing else that you can really touch a screen like that except maybe iOS. I'm sure it'll come to iOS.
I think it could work on iOS, but I don't think as well. The fact that you have your smaller screen on the bottom, where you've got your inventory and you're kind of flicking things up into the Fire, which is on your TV. I think it definitely serves a lot better in that form.
Yeah.
It probably plays on PC okay when you've got your mouse and you're just like, clicking stuff, because that's really all the game is just clicking stuff. But it certainly has a different feel to it when you're playing it on the Wii U, which I think is the way we're going to feel about a lot of games that come out for this console.
Yeah, totally. So what else? What else do we play?
Zombie U.
Yes.
That was the last one before I left.
So Zombie U is it's a survival horror game, and it's probably the only real survival horror game that has come out in like the last 10 years. Like it's Resident Evil 1. It's like that kind of survival horror where everything you do you feel uneasy about. It's scary, you're limited in ammo, one mistake and you're dead type thing. It's awesome. So the game revolves around you. You're basically a survivor of a zombie apocalypse in England. You're running away from zombies. You hear a voice from a subway station. You basically go down, bar the door, and you find out that there's a guy, a controller person, who is kind of telling you what to do. But he has a safe area, and he gives you a pack called a Bob. And that basically gives you access to a little computerized screen that you can use to scan and things like that. So the game revolves around you going around doing missions, killing things. All the while you make one mistake and you will die. And
this game is punishing.
Like that one part when I'm trying to run across this area and I'm being chased by like 12, 15 zombies, and you can do nothing when you have more than one zombie on the screen. Like you're pretty much dead when you face 2 or 3.
Yeah, 2 is tough. I mean, I was kind of sweating. I wasn't even playing the game, and Lloyd was fighting 2 zombies. I'm like, oh my god, he's gonna die, because it's that difficult.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's just it's so scary and like. Do you remember playing Resident Evil 1 and I
still have it actually.
And the bacon wrapped dogs jump out the window in the first area, and you like crap your pants. Like, I remember playing this. I'm laying on the couch. It's pitch black. The game just came out. I bought it because it's supposed to be this scary game. And I'm like, yeah, I'm never scared. I'm not scared of movies. This is going to be nothing. And then those freaking dogs jump out the window. And I pause the system. I run upstairs. I turn the lights on because I was in the basement at the time. My room used to be in the basement of my friend's house, or my parents' house, rather. I turned on the lights and I played it. I didn't play it in the dark anymore because it scared me. Like, it just the sound and everything. This game is exactly like that. Like, you turn around a corner and you're scared. And it's not like Doom where they have like monster closets that open up and zombies come at you. I mean, there's some of that, but not intentionally, because everything is kind of being it's being generated as you go. But
I would actually say that this game is a hell of a lot scarier than Resident Evil. I never found the original Resident Evil scary because a lot of it resulted in jump scares, which I don't find are scary. They're startling, but being startled isn't being scared. Being scared is, I'm literally too afraid to go around the corner because there is a bunch of zombies over there, or the sound of the beeping on your Wii U GamePad of like, is that a zombie or a bird? I don't know. Or the tension that you have when you have to go into your pack, but it doesn't pause the game.
Yeah,
that
so
is
when you
freaking scary.
So when you do that, like, you're on your gamepad, you flip down the little backpack icon, and on the game, your character, like on the television, your character kneels, pulls the backpack over his shoulder, and then starts going through it. So if you have to heal, well, you can't if it's not in your quick item select thing. So like your I guess your fanny pack or whatever the hell you're wearing to have this quite quick select of items, you're dead because you can't. You have to get in front of them far enough where you can go into your backpack without them chomping on your head when you're down. And this basically leads me to the best part of this game. Like, you're a survivor. You're going out, you're finding things. When you die in the game, you're dead. Your character no longer exists. Your backpack, all your items stay with your character. And you wake up in the room, the safe room, again, as a totally different person. And then if you want all that stuff that you had, you have to go find your old self, who now is a zombie that wants to eat your face. So,
it's fantastic.
So you see the person who you once were, that you had all this fun of traipsing through the countryside, shooting zombies and making their heads explode. Now you have to kill that person to then take the stuff back that you got to then continue with your game. Totally brilliant. It's like one of the best mechanics in a game that I've seen in a while. And
it's one of those things where, like, you were telling me about it and I was like, okay, that sounds kind of cool. But then when you died and you went back and your dead self was trying to attack the new character that you inhabit, I was like, that's actually really crappy. Like, oh my God, it just makes you feel awful. Like, that was me only 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you have some form of, like, I don't know, you have like an emotional connection almost to these characters. Like, you obviously you don't know them, you haven't had a beer with them, you haven't shared laughs and watched any movies with them, but you have a connection to this character because you did all this stuff with them, and they have all your stuff that is what you had to show from all the things you did. And now you have to go shoot this thing in the head and then take your stuff back as another character entirely. And the first time it happened, I'm just like, that's cool. And then the next time it happened, I'm like, you know what? That's kind of like really sort of messed up that I'm killing my old self to make my new self still live and things like that. But anyway, the game itself, the graphics aren't amazing. I've seen a lot of reviews where they say the graphics look like it's like Vaseline smeared on a PlayStation 1 screen. And no, they're not that bad. It looks like maybe it looks a little bit better than like launch 360. Like, if you look at, like, I showed Jeff, I went and looked at a wall and basically went and looked really close at one of the textures, and it's pretty low res, but when you're far away, the textures aren't that bad, and the levels are quite huge. Like, you're running around these large levels with lots of stuff to do. So I don't know. I really like the game. My one big complaint with the game is the mapping system is total and utter crap.
Do you think, though, that they did that on purpose, though, to make you a little bit more disoriented?
I'm sure they did, or that's what they like to say so that they can kind of explain it away. But I spent about an hour and a half one day trying to figure out where the hell I was supposed to go. And I'm just like, what the hell am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to go here. I'm supposed to go here. No, I'm supposed to go here. No. I look at the clock and it's like, oh, an hour and a half has passed. That really sucks. So I went back finally to the safe room and went a different way to do it, because you have kind of like a teleport system by using the sewers. You can kind of go from one main area to another as long as you find the sewer in that world. But it was just like, why are you making me waste an hour and a half of my time when I could be having fun gaming, not dying? Because if you die as a character and you have to go back and get your backpack by killing that guy, if you die again, that old backpack is gone. Now the only backpack you can recover is from the character that you just were. You start each character starts with a handgun with 6 bullets and a cricket bat, and that's all. So I like when Jeff was over, I was like, yeah, I died at this point, this really far point. It was at the top of a building. I have to go get my backpack because it has my rifle. It has 3 stacks of rifle ammo. It has Molotov cocktails. It has some landmines. It has all this great stuff. I have a shotgun. It's great. I got to go get it. And then I died halfway there, and I felt really crappy. It was just like, damn it. I now have to find all this stuff again. Like, you have real loss when this happens, where normally games you don't feel that. You die and you respawn and everything's happy, or you die and you load a save game and everything's happy. This game has no save games. Well, it has a save game, but every time you die, it auto saves before you can do anything.
Yeah, so you can't just like go back and be like, oh no, I messed up. It's
you
like
can't unplug
like,
your Wii U. You can't unplug your Wii U, plug it back in, and fake it. When you get bitten, you're done, and it's saved that you died, and you're screwed. You've lost those items. I think that would be a
funny meeting to be in there at Ubisoft, where they're like, well, we know people are going to cheat, so let's make it impossible for them to get around this, part of the game that's going to piss them off, really.
Exactly. So yeah, I can just imagine how awesome those meetings would be.
But I mean, and then of course, for anybody listening, you're like, the game will piss you off, but not in a way that like will make you hate it. You died because it was your stupid fault.
Yeah.
I know. Granted, Lloyd died because you said there was a glitch that had happened, but most of the time you die because it's your fault. So get better or keep dying.
Well, I was at the top of a building and I could hear zombies, but I couldn't see them, and then they just appeared. So they were clipping a building or something, but I couldn't see them. Oh, there's 5 of them and they've surrounded me and they're chomping my face. But that's the only time where I've seen a glitch like that. So hopefully that doesn't happen too often.
Prometheus in this chat room just said it makes him think of Demon Souls, which is exactly what we were talking about while we were playing it.
Yeah, it's exactly like that. Like there's real loss. When you die, you lose stuff. But
now there is an easy mode, right? What is the easy mode called again?
The easy mode's called chicken mode. And basically, if you only have the cricket bat, a normal zombie will take between 2 and 4 hits across the head, and these are like real visceral hits. Like you hear the crunch of bone, and you see the blood spatter, and you get blood all over your cricket bat, and your hands are coated and dripping. And not in a cartoony way either. It's like super kind of realistic.
No, it's
as realistic as zombies can be, I guess. That's kind of a stupid thing to say, that it's realistic, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, Lloyd took a part of a zombie's head off with a gunshot, and its head kind of like collapsed in on its brain. It was still coming after him. It was nasty.
Exactly. But yeah, like you're killing these things, and it takes 4 hits with a cricket bat, or 2 shots with a gun, or 1 shot with a rifle. And yeah, it's like, it's tough. Like, this game is tough, but it's not tough in a way that it makes you hate the game. It's tough in a way that it makes you hate yourself for screwing up.
Yeah, which I like. I like that kind of challenge. Yep.
All right. So that's about all the games I've played. Let's talk a little bit about some of the other features of the Wii. There's a friend code system now. So instead of having to remember a 16-digit numeric friend code that you send your friend, you have a Nintendo Network ID now, which as of right now is locked to the console that you created on. Nintendo said in the future that they're going to figure out ways to get it to move between devices. So hopefully that nice, Jeff. Hopefully that hopefully that happens. But that hasn't happened yet. It has a really cool social network called Miiverse. At first, actually, when you turn on the system, your gamepad shows kind of like a Wii screen, a Wii channel selection screen. But on the television, it has all these little Miis running around amongst icons. Nintendo calls it Wii Waru Waru, which in Japanese means kind of babbling noise, because these little guys kind of babble. But they kind of show what what's happening in the game. So there's different icons for games. So there might be a new Super Mario icon and a COD COD Blops 2 icon and a Sega All Stars Racing Evolved or whatever the heck it's called icon, Assassin's Creed 3 or whatever. And all these characters that are running to it are real people on the internet somewhere. I said the internet. Yes, it is. It's the internet. Nintendo's accepting the internet.
Which I couldn't stop saying while I was at your house. I was like, I can't believe this is connected to the internet.
Exactly.
The internet.
And it's actual conversation. So in the game, when you do certain things in certain games, it'll pop up a thing. Do you want to post to Miiverse? Or you can actually just go into Miiverse itself and post these comments or draw a picture. And they'll actually just sort of appear on your screen. And it's really kind of cool. But Miiverse itself is a social network. So when you start up Miiverse, you create a profile. Funny story there, but we'll get into that in a second, where I got banned from Miiverse because of my profile, which I didn't do anything bad. So it's kind of so super stupid. But anyway, you go into Miiverse and there's different clubs that you can join. And basically they're just like chat rooms, or they're like message forums. So you join the group for New Super Mario Brother, and you see all the posts in real time that are happening with that game. So people are saying stuff about the game. They finished a level, it shows the level that they're on, and they're oh, this is great, this is awesome. You, instead of liking posts like you do on Facebook, you them, which is kind of stupid. And if you don't want to them anymore, you can them. I don't understand what that is. You can comment on someone's post. It's really cool. The one thing that pisses me off, and people are saying in the chat room, is that you feel like the only person in the world that can't draw, because there's some really great artists and they spend a lot of time on these little drawings, and they just appear on the screen and they exist for a few seconds and then disappear. Just really, really bizarre. Miiverse, you can do chat with your friends. If you've registered them as a friend on your console, you can do text chat with them. You can
video chat as well too.
You can do video chat as well from the actual console main screen itself. In Miiverse, you can send a friend request to someone that you've played with, or just to someone in general. So you don't have to say, Jeff, add me. I'm DazMeU, and Jeff says, yeah, I'm I don't know, kitty poo poo plushie, and then I have to type that in for us to link up.
That's really close. It's really close.
You can just go to Miiverse and say, I want to add kitty poo poo plushie as my Nintendo Network friend, and it will actually send a message. Oh, that's what it is. Sorry, I got it wrong. And it will actually send a message to that person where they can approve it. So it's almost like a real actual social network. It's almost like a real online profiling system. It's almost like Xbox Live in some ways. It's just really kind of scary when you think about that, because it's Nintendo. They don't do stuff like that. But anyway, so that's Miiverse. And that's pretty much the Wii U. Is there anything else you want to chat about, Jeff? Like, other than the fact that I'm really damn impressed with it, and I really, really like the system.
Yeah.
I really like it.
They're shutting me in the chat room right now because they just found out that I don't actually own one.
You only own last gen consoles, Jeff.
I'm really, really impressed with it as well, too. I figured that I would, and granted, I mean, I spent 2 hours or 2.5 hours at your place. We were kind of just, screwing around with it. You were showing me the stuff it does. I figured I'd have something bad to say, and really the only thing I have bad, or not bad, but let's say not great to say about it, is the fact that the battery life on the gamepad is only 4 hours. That to me isn't a big problem, because I don't play games for that length of time anyway.
Right.
And I mean, you can have it plugged in, but you're tethered, and that kind of sucks. But you had said that they're probably going to come out with some sort of expansion battery kind of thing in the future, which sounds like a good idea.
If Nintendo doesn't do it, there's going to be third parties. You're going to get Hori or Nyko. They're going to come out with some sort of extended battery thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm sure that's going to be fine. But yeah, 4 hours is kind of crappy, to be honest.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, it is running quite a bit too, right? I mean, the thing is not only taking a feed from the TV, which is a wireless signal, so it's draining quite a bit there, but it's also going to power a very large, bright screen. And it's also the controller as well, too, so it's your input. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the controller that would make it suck the life out of that battery as quickly as possible. 4 hours doesn't really seem that bad when you kind of take that all into consideration.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just playing it, my mind was just kind of racing with ways that developers could utilize this technology to make really great games. Now, my mind was racing with ways they could utilize the technology on the Wii as well. And what happened was they just started shoveling out really crappy minigame compilations because that's all anybody wanted to play. And the great games that were overlooked were the ones that used the technology to a degree where, it was actually an intuitive thing. It wasn't just like waggle your stupid hand around your living room like a fool. So this doesn't have that same kind of campy, childish theme to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean to offend anybody who has a Wii and loves the console. It's just not for me. I am and again, I think the saying hardcore gamer is a stupid way of, separating myself from the rest of. I'm a gamer, let's say that. But I play games that are a little bit more in depth than your mini game compilations, right? I don't like a lot of iOS games because they don't really seem like games to me. I like Call of Duty, I like Halo, I like Skyrim, I like RTS games, I love strategy games. They're all games, but I tend to go to the ones that really pull me in, and there's a lot to learn, and there's a ton to do. So I feel like this could be that for Nintendo. I really do. I mean, the specs are out. We all know that the thing is more capable than the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360, which is great. Hopefully people will utilize that to its advantage. Zombie U looks great, but they do kind of cheat a little bit in the art direction by making things really dark and really foggy, so you don't realize how crappy the textures look until you're like right on top of them. But that's okay. I mean, all games cheat like that as well too. You look at any game that's an open world game, you will see pop in of things kind of just like rendering sometimes slower than necessary for you to get to them. But yeah, I do see a brighter future for this than I did for the Wii, and I hope that Nintendo will take that to heart and make sure that there are some really solid games published on this thing. And already there are. I mean, granted, they're probably ports, but you're going to pick up Mass Effect 3 when that comes out. I'm very excited to see what that looks like and how it plays. I think that'll be really interesting.
Yeah.
And just the fact that you'll be getting games like that is exciting. It's like, okay, I can actually buy this thing and I'm not going to sit on my shelf. Now, and again, as I told you when we were playing on Thursday, I will only buy the exclusives because I'm so in depth to Xbox. If it's on the Xbox, I will buy it for achievements and for multiplayer. But if it's exclusive, there are some games there that I would definitely gravitate and get a Wii U to play.
Yeah. Just to correct you, Mass Effect 3 is out now. It's just not available for digital download, which is stupid because I would have downloaded it day one if that was available.
I didn't realize it was on shelves yet.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm the same way. Like, I really like the system. My kids have played a lot of it, so I know that I'm going to be getting like the Lego City. I'm going to be getting all the kiddie type games that I would have played. I'm kind of wish I had Skylanders on it because I know the kids would really enjoy playing on the thing.
You're gonna get it. You're gonna get it.
No, I'm not buying Giants again. If
You'll
I already
crack.
own it.
You always crack.
If I can get it for like $20, sure. If I have to pay more than any like normal person would pay, no, I would not do that. But anyway,
I was at his house. I saw the Skylanders collection. It is ridiculous.
It's breathtaking, isn't it?
There's like 40 or 50 figures there.
Yeah, it's stupid. It's really stupid. But anyway, like all those like sort of family friendly type things that I play with my kids, that's going to be Wii U from now on. I think my PS3 is still going to be used a lot, but for more of the games that I play, kind of hardcore stuff. But I don't know. Who knows? Like if the next like big game that I want comes out, I might want to play it on the Wii U. Like if the GamePad offers anything, and that makes it a better experience on the Wii U, it's going to look the same. So maybe that'll be the place where, I don't know, I start picking stuff up. I don't know. It's hard to say right now.
Yeah, and for me, I am a big fan of this controller. The Xbox controller, I'm in love with it really because it just I've used it for so long, and I like the fact that I don't have to look at it. And I'm not saying that it's a bad thing that the Wii U GamePad has the screen on it where you can look and there's like, other information about the game. Um, but I'm not quite sure if it's still for me yet. I think it's really cool and used in the context of Zombie U, for instance, where you look down, you can see your inventory, or there's a map screen. You got like your radar going off. You can see zombies. That's all really really cool. But it's kind of I focus so much on the TV that I might miss some of that stuff. Now, maybe that will just be like you've got to kind of condition your brain to look down every once in a while. It would be actually, it's kind of the same thing as like when you're driving, just glance at the speed limit, the speed that you're driving really, really quickly. That's actually something they teach you in driver's ed. I remember that. It was so strange. The teacher was telling us, just look down really quickly and then look back up. Like, who's going to stare at it? What's wrong with you? You're driving a car. But it's kind of the same thing, right? I mean, you don't just look down and stare at it unless you're managing your inventory. And I think inventory is what it's going to be used for a lot, especially games like Zelda, where it's going to be utilized, I think, to a great degree. Map screens and maybe crafting something in a game. I think it would be really really interesting to do stuff like that. It's cool. It really is. And again, I have nothing bad to say about it, but I'm not going to buy it yet. Actually, Lloyd sent me a text message earlier tonight. He's like, "Hey, there's a Pro console available at the Garden City Walmart." I'm like, thanks, but no thanks for now. I think I'm gonna hold back. But yeah, it's really cool and it's very promising. And I think that's the most exciting thing about it is that it is very promising.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not up to us to make the games for it. It's up to somebody else, and that's kind of where the future lies with this thing. I think Nintendo will make great games for it because it's their console. Third parties where this future is really going to be decided on this thing.
Yeah, exactly. I'm really curious to see what happens early in the new year, in the launch window, as Nintendo says, which is like 18 months long or whatever. It's stupid. But by the end of spring, or by the start of spring rather, we should have a bunch of really great Nintendo games. We should have some really great third-party stuff as well. I'm really curious to see to what E3 is going to be, because Sony and Microsoft are probably going to be announcing their next gen console next E3. You're going to have these developers that have had probably a full year with their like almost fully fleshed out dev kits to come out with some really good games, because a lot of the devs got their dev kits just before last E3. So they're going to have a lot of time to actually figure out what works on the system. So you're gonna see some interesting things. You're gonna know whether Sony's gonna do another Me Too, where their next console is gonna have everything that Xbox has and everything that Microsoft has, because they did that with the PS3, where their controller had tilty, just like the Wii. You don't need a Wii because you can have a tilty controller, which was useless or whatever. So I want to see how much of that stuff happens. Question is will Sony even have a next gen console? Are they making money now? Like their company's been in the red for a long time. So will they have the money to
I think
to
they
invest?
will. I mean, they've probably been working on it for 2 or 3 years or something.
You would think so, but I mean, they're not selling Vitas.
Yeah, that's true. They are not.
Mean,
drop the price, Sony. God, what is wrong with you?
Yeah, exactly.
Drop the price and you will sell so many. Bundle it, or well, there's bundles now, but it's the same friggin' price. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Microsoft has their smart glass, which is, I don't know, it's cool, but you need to bring your own system to it. So you need to buy the $500 iPad or the $500 or $800 Surface or whatever other tablet you have.
I think they're banking a lot on the fact that you probably already have a phone that is compatible with it.
Yeah, but
I think the experience really lies in having a bigger tablet.
Yeah, see, the thing though is, you as a developer, you can't assume that everybody has a 1024 by 768 screen or a 720p screen or a 1080 screen. You can't build an interface where someone could use it as a game controller, because you're making assumptions that might not pan out for the end user. So I don't know. There's a whole bunch of things that could happen, but I think E3 is really gonna either cement this system as a must-have for kind of like the hardcore gamers, as you said, or you're gonna have the people that hate Nintendo because they've always hate Nintendo because it's the kiddie console. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I love mine right now. I'm really glad I have it. I was the guy that was like super skeptic. I've talked about it for so long that I was really skeptical. I fully expected to not like this system and that I would only use it as my Zelda, Metroid, and Mario box. But I'm really quite impressed.
Me too. Which as I think about it, I'm like, wow, I can't believe I like this thing as much as I do. But let's also say that, out of the gate, probably one of the best, or actually, in my opinion, the best launch library of games I can remember.
Yeah, I mean, you have your
know
Mario.
A lot of them are ports, but still, it's available at launch.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty damn good library, and a couple of original games that are also really standout games. I mean, there's of the library, there's at least 5 or 6 games that you like need to get if you haven't played them before. And then there's like 3 games that you need to get because you just need to get them. So very impressive. Maybe they learned a little bit of a lesson from their 3DS launch where it was just like, just went into the dirt.
Yeah. I mean, you have your Mass Effect, you have your Darkstalkers, you have your Batman, Arkham City.
Is it Darksiders or Darkstalkers?
Darkstalkers. I said Darksiders, didn't I? Darkstalkers. It's the one that's like Zelda. Darkstalkers 2. You have Assassin's Creed 3. You have, I said Mass Effect, I think. You have Scribblenauts. You have Mario. You have Nintendo Land. You have there's Darksiders 2.
Yeah, Darksiders. Yeah. That's what I thought.
And then you have your Maddens, your all your sports games. You have
Call of Duty, Assassin's Creed.
Call of Duty, that's right. So, I mean, it's a really great launch lineup, as you said. So, it's pretty good.
So just before, I don't know if you saw in the show notes what I had written there, but Trevor, YOLO Pizza Boy of that fame of the show, has sent in some questions because he can't be here tonight to ask them to us live. So I figure he sent us 4 questions here, and I figured I'd read them off and then we'd answer them. Also, in the forum message, he wanted to make sure that it is known that he's not hating on Nintendo, even though these questions sound like it. He's a big Nintendo supporter. These are just questions that popped into his head and he wanted answered. So the first one is, after watching an unboxing video, he noticed that the power supply is an external brick. Why was this not built internally into the system? Sony did this 6 years ago.
Probably for heat issues.
That too, yeah. Actually, somebody I believe maybe it was Quacko? Maybe Smurgle or something like that in the forum said that it also makes it a lot easier to travel with the system, to sell it in other markets that have a different power supply.
Yep.
And you know what? Actually, the Xbox 360 still has an external power supply. I like that better because of the fact that they can slim down the console. It would have been nowhere near that's as small as it is if they had the power supply internal. Those things are also pretty hard to change out, I believe, on consoles that are that small. Yeah,
exactly. I think it's for size. Like the thing is pretty small. Like it's about the same size as a Wii in size, but it's much more powerful. And yeah, I think it's for heat issues, and also, as you said, it makes it a lot easier to exchange them out if that's what you want.
Are they saying I talk with my hands?
No, they're saying you eat your hands too much.
I eat my hands too.
Yeah.
The next question he's got is why no cross-game chat or Bluetooth headset support?
See, that's a good question.
Yes.
There's a game. Which game was it that just announced they're going to be patching chat into it? I can't remember. I don't believe there's many games that have chat yet. There isn't built-in voice chat into the system,
which is strange because the controller itself has a microphone in it.
Yeah, exactly. You'd think it would be like a no-brainer. I think this is just a case where they don't want to do too much at once. This will probably come in a patch, because yeah, I mean, it would be like the PlayStation 3. It didn't ship with all the features that it has now. A lot of that stuff was patched in. Same with the Xbox. I think I think cross-game chat it's gonna have to come. I mean, it's in all the modern consoles.
I get the feeling like Nintendo is still being a little bit like a protective mother about their user base.
It could be that as well.
It still is very kid friendly, and Nintendo has always been terrified that somebody is going to be kidnapped and murdered through their system or something, you know?
Yep.
Like, I don't know how many pedophiles walk around with their, DS and PictoChat open just hoping a kid drops into a chat room. But, I think that's really why they're doing it. They want to make sure that people are protected. But, if you have games like Call of Duty or, anything that's co-op and you're not playing on the couch with somebody, it'd be good to have, man. It would be really good to have.
Yeah, exactly. His other part of the question is Bluetooth headset support. This is really confusing. I've seen many official remarks from Nintendo about headset support. One is that it's not coming. Another one is we have an official thing on the way. Another one is you can use a microphone plugged in through USB. Like there's so many different I guess official, unofficial, official kind of remarks. I think again, this is just it's going to be coming in the future. I remember one interview that was done that said, yeah, the Wii U has Bluetooth. You can pair a Bluetooth headset, and then immediately after the PR monkey comes and said, no, you can't do that. That's not official. We're not announcing that right now. So
is the gamepad itself connected via Bluetooth?
The gamepad's connected over whatever proprietary kind of connection Nintendo uses for their devices. It's not Bluetooth because it's super high speed. It's sending 720p video streaming with audio to your device and losing a frame. Only a frame in transmission.
Wow, that's perfect.
Yeah, so 1/60th of a second, it's sending a full 720p frame to your device. So it's using whatever high speed transmission thing that they figured out. So it's just not there yet. I'm sure it's going to come. It has to come because you need to have some sort of headset. What it's going to end up, if it's like the stupid like Nintendo voice chat microphone that came with Animal Crossing, which was just this little microphone you put on your TV, I will scream and I will.
I hope it looks exactly the same as that "Hey You Pikachu" microphone that you plugged into the top of your N64 controller.
The big orange dong that you put on top of your controller, yeah, or yellow, I guess it was. Oh, it's just nasty. So it's probably going to come. This is a short answer to your question, Trevor, is that it's going to come. It's not there yet.
Yeah. He's got a couple more questions here.
Sure.
One talking about the battery life. He says, will the 4-hour battery life of the tablet be a problem for hardcore gamers who like to play long hours?
Hell yeah. It's been a problem for me. And I'm a parent that has kids. But on the weekends or days that if I have any time off, I like to play for a good chunk of time. And I've had to stop playing and charge my controller because I refuse to play tethered.
Tethered is like, I mean, it is the fix. It's like if you play tethered, you're not going to have any problems. But it just sucks, I mean, you're tethered. You might have to lean forward. The fact that the cable they give you isn't very long, and if you sit far away, if your living room is of average size, you'd have to pull the console closer to you, and there's wires all over the place. It's just not a very good thing to have to do.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing that I said to you, this thing has a little tiny door or a big door on the back actually. 2 screws is all you need to unlock it. It's not like some sort of like proprietary screw that Apple would use or something. It's just 2 standard screws, jeweler screwdriver type stuff. And if you open it up, the battery that's in here is actually really type small. It's really kind of small rather. The thing is so huge, but it has a little tiny battery in it. So that has me thinking that Nintendo's either going to they're going to sell higher capacity batteries that you can just pop in yourself. And if Nintendo doesn't do it, a company like Nyko or Hori is going to do it. Yeah, so sure. The 4 hours that you have today, give it a couple months, and I'm sure it's not going to be 4 hours. It's going to be 8 hours or whatever it is.
And then you've got to take a 2-hour break if you want it at a full charge.
Yeah, exactly. And that's pretty standard for batteries. It gets up to about 80% really, really quickly, but then to get it the rest of the way, you have to spend a lot more time, so it can charge up normally.
He's got one last question, which actually is a really good one. With the 4 gigabyte update out of the box, using up half your hard drive space, assuming you buy the basic model, does this mean external memory is going to be a must for all Wii U owners?
Well, to be clear, the update itself is only about 1 gig. So it's not 4 gigs, and it doesn't take up any space on your flash after it's installed. It's actually it's overwriting a section of the system that the OS resides on. So it's not loaded on your flash drive. And then it deletes itself after it installs. So it takes a while to download, and then it deletes itself. But yeah, you definitely are going to need to get some sort of external storage. The really amazing thing with this system is it supports USB hard drives right out of the box. You buy a USB hard drive that has a power supply. You plug it into one of the 4 USB slots that it has. I believe it has 4, maybe it's 6. And it will show up as storage, and you can download stuff right to it. You don't need to buy like a Microsoft hard drive, which is like 4,000% more expensive than it should be for what it is. Like
they patched us out of that too. Like you used to be able to put in a flash drive or hook up a hard drive and it would be fine.
Yeah.
And then they patched you out of it. That pissed me off so much.
Well, the thing that pissed me off is they sold 20 gig hard drives for $200 when 20 gig hard drives, even 20 gig flash drives at those times was like maybe $60.
Yeah.
And they've only got, they're like free now. Like you open a box of cereal and you get 3 20 gig hard drives inside of them.
They actually pay you to take them off their hands.
Exactly. Like it's just, but that's Microsoft. They want to overcharge you for all the hardware because that's where they're really making their money. Yeah. Nintendo just said, you know what, screw that. So immediately out of the box, you can put a 64 gig SD card in it. You can buy a 2 terabyte hard drive and connect it to it. It's going to support all that storage right away. And yeah, I mean, if you're buying the 8 gig console, you're probably not going to be someone that wants to download full retail releases. If you are, you're definitely going to need a hard drive if you want to do that.
Yeah, that's a good point you bring up. I don't know if anybody who is not invested 100% into the console itself would buy a core console just because, well, first of all, the value's not there. And second of all, it's white, so it looks ugly. The black one looks so much sleeker. But then again, yeah, the fact that you only get like 4 gigabytes as a card, and that's not a lot. I mean, that would give you 3 packages of DLC, average size DLC on the Xbox 360.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's more than the Xbox base station ships with, which is 4 gigs or whatever.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not a small amount. And if all you're doing is saving games, I mean, you're going to be able to put all sorts of save games on there. But if you want to download stuff, yeah, you're going to need it. From what I understand, and this could be inaccurate, but I think it's true, you could buy like a really cheap 32 gig SD card, but you can't run games from SD. You can only run it from USB. So you're going to have to at least buy a powered USB hard drive for it. So if you want to download games, you're going to need storage some way. Either you buy the 32 gig system or you buy a bigger hard drive and attach it externally.
Yeah, I was actually telling Lloyd when we first started the show that I was going to buy a 3-month PlayStation Plus membership because the Vita support is now on. And I was looking at just from saved games from the 3 games that I've owned on the Vita, my capacity on my memory card is already over half. And I'm like, holy crap. Like,
wow.
Now I've got to go buy another memory card. And I got to write the name of the games I have on each memory. It's such a pain in the ass. The fact that they allow you to just you don't have to buy a proprietary anything, it's just SD card, or you can pop in some, USB hard drive and you're set to go. Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. Now, granted, you have to do a little bit of legwork to kind of move things around so it's localized before you can play. But you know what? I would gladly do that work because it's not really costing me any extra money or any premium extra money.
Yeah, exactly. Anything else?
Get your crap together, Sony. God dang it. Oh, they drive me crazy. Here's a question for you, Trevor. What's wrong with Sony?
Yeah, Sony.
God.
I'm just trying to. There's some people chatting in the chat room that are asking some questions. Whether you can
there was actually a good one there. He was talking about. He didn't realize that there's actually a few gigabytes of reserved storage on the system for your OS, which is actually really cool.
So I'm just looking. Yeah, so SD cards cannot be used for any Wii U save data. They can only be used for Wii, and you can't store games on them. But it looks like you are able to play games right off of an external hard drive. So when you download a game and install it to an external hard drive, it shows up on your home menu, and you can just load the game right from the hard drive.
So then where is save data stored?
Internal memory, I would guess.
Interesting. So it's got to be really minuscule then.
Yeah, exactly. So if you download a game that's like 4 gigs, you don't have enough space on your internal memory, you load it onto a USB hard drive, up to 2 terabytes, and it will actually just work.
Well, and that actually, at the beginning it didn't really make any sense to me, but it does now that I kind of think about if you've ever used Final Cut Pro, what they have is a system where the save file of your project is a very, it's kilobytes big, right?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter how many clips you have in your timeline or anything. What it does is it uses the source footage as its, to reconnect media. So the save file can be really, really small, but as soon as you put in the disk of the game, perhaps in this case, it will use the source files of the game information to load the save, which keeps the save files really, really small. And you don't have to have a ton of space.
Right.
So maybe they're using a system like that.
Yeah, it could be. It's just like a computer. If you have multiple hard drives in your computer, you can run applications from any hard drive. The OS is running off of one system, and that's all it really cares about. So the OS will still be running off of the internal storage, and everything else can run from wherever there's room, I guess.
By the way, guys, if you want your questions answered as well too, you can do things like post them in the forums, but it's better if you just email us directly. Trevor had he tweeted at us that we saw that they were in the forums. But vgpodcast@gmail.com if you want to have any kind of question answered for things that we talk about on the show, we'd be glad to field those questions. And also, we're going to save Black Ops 2 review for next week because we're already in over 2 hours now, and it's I do kind of want to talk a lot about Black Ops 2, maybe more than I thought I did originally. So I'm going to save it for next week, and then we can kind of have this as the Wii U special in a sense.
Sounds good. So coming up next week, we're going to do Jeff's review of COD Blops 2. We'll review Walking Dead episode 5, and hopefully I will have finished Zombie U, and I can do my full review of Zombie U.
Nice.
And that'll be good as well. But we'll see. If I'm not too scared to play.
First impressions of the Wii U, though, I'm very, very impressed, and I didn't think I would say that.
No, I fully expect Jeff to just kind of be laughing when he left, shaking his head. You waste your money, man. But no, you were super, super positive. So
yeah, I was into it, man. I was into it. I was
and you're not
I kept looking at the time, and I'm like, I gotta go pick up Carly. I'm like, damn it, I just want to. She can walk. God.
Yikes! Good thing she left the chat room.
Yeah, she did. She has to work early in the morning.
But yeah, no, it's not what I expected from you at all. Not that you're a Nintendo hater or anything, because I know you're not. But I know you're just not you weren't a fan of the Wii, and you're not like a Mario fan. So seeing the new Mario game wouldn't have been enough for you. Yeah, I'm super happy you enjoyed it. I'm glad you were able to pop over, and hopefully we can have you and have Trevor come over and we can play some games.
I'm in. I am in, because that system is, man, even if it's just to play that stupid ghost game in Nintendo Land, dude, I am in. Yeah,
that was pretty awesome, wasn't it? Awesome. All right. Well, I think that's going to about do it for episode number 15, which has turned into the WiiUStravaganza. If you guys have a Wii U and you have a Nintendo Network ID, add me. I'm DasmeU, so DASMEU. Go to I guess Miiware or Miiverse rather, and go add a friend, and you can add me and it'll send me a message and I will reply to it. I'd like to play online with a lot of listeners. I only have about 5 people that have registered me right now, so I'd like to get a few more so we can get some games happening. But yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's about it. So, yeah, let us know what you think. Let us know what you think of the VG Podcast redesign. So go to vgpodcast.com. Head on over to vgpodcast.com. Click Contact us at the top of the page if you want to email us. You can do it directly at vgpodcast@gmail.com, or you can call our voicemail line, which is area code 505 VG Podcasts. All right, Jeff, thanks again for joining me, man.
Always good to be here.
It's good to be back after a week.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
I missed it.
And the thing is, we're also kind of just planning next shows out, and it does not end in this Q4, man. It's just crazy. I was gonna say it's like Christmas to us, but it's almost December, so that's a stupid thing to say, but it really is just like every week there's a big release coming out, and it's not stopping, which is exciting,
Yep.
but it's like taxing. I had to force myself to finish the campaign on Black Ops 2 because I was so loving the multiplayer. And I'm like, I got to review the game. I don't like to review something if I haven't beaten it yet. So I'm complaining about playing video games. This is stupid. Let's get out of here.
You have a hard life, Jeff.
Oh my God, just so tough.
All right, guys, thanks again for joining us, and we'll talk to you next week. As a reminder, we do this each and every Friday, except for a few of them that we don't, over at vgpodcast.com/live. So come join us at 10 p.m. Central. Jump in the chat room. We had a lot of people this week. We loved seeing you guys out. We love joking with you in the chat room, and we love answering your questions. So until next week, thanks again to Jeff, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Go get you some Wii's U's, and we can talk about that and play online. It'll be fun. Later, guys.
Let's get started.